All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. As part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development Program, and in particular the AWD 1112 Application Programming with Java class, I am doing a series of video presentations. There will be two books for the class, and the first book is the one I'm going over now, which, as you can see on the screen, is Java Quick Syntax Reference. I have gone through the introduction and the first two chapters, and now I'm going to jump into Chapter 3 on variables. Now, we all know what variables are, and Java actually has 8 types of variables that are known as primitive or scalar variables. What that means is these variables can only hold one value at a time. For the first four, these are all whole numbers: byte, short, int, and long. The difference between them is their size. I believe a byte is about negative 128, I guess, since it says it's signed, so I believe it's 0 to 255. A short, I believe, is 0 to 64,536, and int then would be 0 through, well, since it says signed, it could be negative. So that would be negative 127, negative 128 to 127, negative 32,768 to positive 32,767, negative 4 billion plus to positive 4 billion plus. This is a number so big I can't tell you what it is. These are the two types of Java variables that can have a decimal place: 32-bit floats, 64-bit doubles. The difference between them basically is how much accuracy do you get after the decimal point. You get virtually double the accuracy with a double. Char is a single Unicode character, so a char must go within single quotes only. And a Boolean is true or false. So we'll see all these in just a couple minutes. To declare a variable, you start with a data type followed by the variable name. Now, these variable names cannot be the same as a Java keyword. How do you find out what the Java keywords are? Might be in the book, I don't even know. But I'm just going to put in here Java keywords. And looks like we got a list of them right here. There they are. We'll use this one. And you'll notice those 8 variables that we just went over: Boolean, short, byte, int, char, double, long, and I'm missing one, but I don't know what it is right offhand. Those are keywords amongst other keywords. All right, so let's go back to our program that we'd started on previously, and let's add some variables. Whoops, sorry about that. There. All right, so let's add some variables. All right, so I'm just going to put them right here after the hello world. And I'm going to say int my age equals 63. That is my age. So I'm going to grab what I was using before, and I'm going to say my current age is, and I'm going to use the plus here. We've done this in C# as a concatenation character. Now, if I did this correctly, it should come out and say my current age is 63. Let's do a file, save all, and I'm always recommending you do that before you run, and then let's run the program. And it says my current age is 63. So I'm going to change the comment here, and I'm going to put in integer variable example. All right, so that's an int. We could have made this a byte. We could have made this a short. We could have made this a long. All right, you'll find yourself typically using int for most everything you do. All right, so let's do another one. Let's do a float variable example. Now, I think I'm going to get an error here, so I'm going to put in float salary equals, let's just say, and I'm not going to get an error, in fact, let's say that my salary is $1,000. Okay? Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say the same thing. My current salary is, and we'll call it, let's be consistent here, we'll call it my salary. All right, another file, save all, let's run it again. And it says my current age is 63, my current salary is 1,000.0. I will tell you, typically you don't use floats, you use double. Even though it's bigger, that's just what people typically do. And I can put in the 00 if I want to. I saved and I'm going to run it again. And it has the same result. So that's a float variable example. So we've now looked at an int, and I said instead of an int we could have used int, byte, short, or long in here. All right. And we looked at a double, and I actually showed it to you also as a float. Let's look at a char example. Char variable example. And I'm going to call it char my middle initial equals. Now notice if I try to put it in with double quotes, I get an error message. And if I put my mouse over here, it says required char, but I gave it a string because it's expecting chars to be in single quotes. All right. So again, I can come in here and print that out and say my middle initial, and it really is P for Paul. So let's do another file, save all, and I'm going to just keep running it from here because it just boom runs it immediately. So my current age is 63, my current salary is 1,000, my middle initial is P. All right, so the only one I have not shown you is a Boolean, and I'm going to show that to you right now. So again, this will be a Boolean variable example, and I'm going to call it my marital status. Notice if I set it to Boolean and I leave that as P, I get an error because again, expecting Boolean gave it a char. It expects for a Boolean to be true or false. So my marital status right, another file, save all. Oops, get rid of this. And I run the program again, and it says my current age is 63, my current salary is 1,000, my middle initial is P, my marital status is true. So that is an example showing you all of the different kinds of variables. I did show you variable assigning. This says take 10 and assign it to the variable myInt. You can either do this as 2 lines or as I've been doing it, as just a single line. Now, what I don't like is stuff like this. This is legal to do, but I think it's just bad policy. So I'm going to ask when you do yours, you put that on over 3 lines and say int my int equal 10, int my int 2 equal 20, and int my int 3. Notice here we are assigning, this is a variable declaration, this is a variable assignment. Sorry, let's see. There's a variable declaration right there. These two are both. This is a straight assignment. This is an initialization and an assignment. All right. Since we didn't give my int3 a value, I believe it has a value of null. And I showed you how to use those variables. I showed you an integer. I showed you a float. I showed you a char. I showed you a Boolean. All right. Now, the next thing that they discuss in here is they say variable scope. And the scope of a variable, for lack of better words, is where the variable lives. What does that mean? Well, what that means is if we take a look in here, we are defining all these variables, my age, my salary, my middle initial, my marital status, inside of main. So if I create another method down here, public static void, I'm just going to call it my method. So this is a brand new method. If I come through here and I try to use my marital status in that method, notice it gets red. It doesn't know what that is because this, my marital status, only lives inside of main. If I want to be able to use it in both those routines, I can take it and instead of defining it in main, I can define it above main. So now notice, well, that's interesting. Let's see, my marital status. Oh, I've got to say static before this. I'm sorry. So now, notice I can use it in here and in here. All right, it's giving me an error because it's supposed to be, so if I want to say equal true, that would work just fine. You can also in Java create what's called an anonymous block of code. What that means is this variable called local var, since it was declared within curly braces, is only available within these curly braces and is unavailable anywhere else. You don't do a lot of that, but there could be a reason for doing it. All right. I think that's enough. Let's see how long this has been. Yeah, I want to keep these all 15 minutes or less. So I'll come back with Chapter 4 in just a couple moments.